Hey, how you doing? So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to draw from reference. In this case, we're going to be drawing a girl from this photo reference here that I found on Google. And so really quickly, here's a realistic version of that photo, and here's a stylized version of the photo. Basically, with the stylized version of the photo, I don't try to draw exactly what I see. That gets boring or just like copying. I just kind of get inspired by and what about the photo moved me. And what about this photo moved me when I saw it is she just seemed like she had this impossibly long and thin waist, just and then very, very big hips. Like it just seemed like huge to me. And so I really accentuated that in this drawing here. But you can see it's really, this is an exact trace over. You can see that it's really not that accentuated. And it has to do something, I think, with the contrast and colors and stuff, especially when we view it the way it is like this. Just something about it just really pops that out. Anyway, I'm going to go and turn that down a little bit. Sometimes it's better when you look at a photo to turn the contrast down. And for that, I just have kind of a slightly gray background here, and then I just turn the opacity down on that layer. The next thing I do is I take measurements from the photo. So I go like this, and I measure the head, which is from the top of the skull, not the hair, to the chin. And then I just kind of come down and see how many heads, tall is this main image, and that goes down to about the knee. About the top of the knee, and then I just make 4 equal measurements. It doesn't matter how big the measurements are, just 4 equal measurements, so they can be 1 inch apart for working on paper or whatever. And then I know that the knee is going to fall a little bit below that, and I just kind of mark a line where I know that's where the knee is going to fit into. All right, and before we get started drawing, I'm going to talk about some principles that I use while looking at the photograph. So there are techniques to actually drawing from a reference. You might think, why do I need this video? I can just look at the thing and just draw it, Yeah, you can do that. But I'm telling you, your eyes will see things wrong, it'll look weird. You're here because you probably already tried to draw from photographs, and sometimes it just doesn't look right. And you're like, why does it not look right? Now you can use the grid method. The grid method's cool, but it's very boring. But it's at least a way to train your eye. I do recommend using the grid method. Don't use too small of. The grid method means that there's a grid over the drawing like this, and you just match up each square. Anyway, you can look up YouTube for the grid method. I recommend using kind of larger squares, but it can really help you train your eye to learn how to see what you're looking at. But here's some other really cool tricks I like to do. First thing, hold on, let me go and I just want to make this proper here. It's going to be thinner. And actually, it's not going to be tilted that much. Her head's not tilted that much, I don't think. Something like that. Anyway, I like to start with the head because it gives you a good idea of where everything else can be related to. You can start with whatever you want to, but in this case, I like to start with the head. So here's some of the things that I keep in mind as I'm working. I'm going to turn this down so you can see these lines. Make a new layer so I can just delete it. So the first thing I think of as a major shape. So here I see this triangle shape here, and I'll pay attention to that shape. I won't necessarily draw it over here, but I'll pay attention to that shape and make sure I can kind of see that shape and go, okay, yeah, that's cool. Definitely want to make sure I have that. I see this, like that. I also pay attention to this overall shape right here coming all the way down like this, and then how far away that is over here. I didn't mean to draw that many lines. And how much that cuts off the hip. So I know that these two lines are parallel to each other, and that gives me the width of the rib cage, right? And I know the rib cage is going to fit into here, and the rib cage is it's a bone structure. It's not really malleable or flexible too much, so I know that's going to stay pretty much the same. And then the neck is coming up this way anyway. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm processing in my head. Then I go, okay, after I have these two parallel lines, how much of the drawings on each side of the line? So I know the hip, I'm only going to have that much hip on this side. I'm going to have that much on that side. And that helps me kind of see, and like, where's the belly button in placement? Is it closer? Which line is it closer to? Things like that. These are things I think about. I imagine drawing lines down through my drawing as well. I'm going to erase that and get a new one. So I go ahead and from the nose, I draw a straight line down, and I don't necessarily draw it, but I imagine how much of the figure is on the left and right hand side of that line. So I can kind of see, okay, it's kind of almost even when it comes to the hips. There's almost even on each side of that straight line. Where does it cut through the breast and things like that? Because as I'm going, I can then imagine this line coming straight down, and I go, oh, okay, so I know that my breast is going to fit more on this side here, like that. And it just helps you kind of place things and think about size of things. I'll just do different things. So I might draw a line straight up from here in my mind, and kind of imagine where that's at, and go, how much curve do I have here between that line and that curve? What about this side? and I can do the same thing and get that invisible. This is like negative space right here. How much negative space do I have there? How much space is it cut off from her arm? How much space is left? Now I have equal amounts from her breast to here to here to here, pretty much. Maybe a little bit more like that. And so thinking about all that kind of stuff will really help you think about angles. So, and you can take measurements for anything you want. And then also rely a bunch. I rely a bunch on my knowledge of human figure and stuff like that. So here I'm not even worried about her. I'm not trying to draw her head. I'm just literally drawing the basic head shape. You can start with just a basic rectangle. The head is basically 2 times tall as it is wide. So if you take the height of the head and cut it in half, that's the width. From here to here is the width of the head. Right? So you just turn that sideways, and that would be the width, and that's very accurate when you're drawing this small. Now it's actually a tiny little bit bigger than that. So technically the head it's nowhere near 2/3, so don't worry about that. You can measure a head yourself and see this is true. It is half, like I said, half the width, or half the length. The width is half the length, plus 3/4 of an eye to one eye width. So the eye is, now look, when you're drawing this small, the eye is only this big, right? So it's literally just a little bit wider, like it's like that, like that would be like how wide it is if I had it wrong. It's just 1 eyeball, or even less than an eyeball extra. So anyway, that's out of the way. I get my head in here, I kind of get the angle going on. I want to come straight down with the neck, because I know the neck's going to come straight down off the head like this, so let's just kind of get that angle. And I think, like I said, I'd like to think about angles and all that kind of stuff. Another thing, maybe, let's go ahead and make this a little bit like this. And, okay, I started drawing. I'm going to merge that layer down. Merge layer down. So I can take the edge of the head here and kind of imagine a straight line coming down and a straight line coming down. Like how much is there? Like what actually fits into there? And that gives you a kind of good idea where you can start from and kind of get your angles going. And so if I do that, then I kind of imagine a line coming straight down here. I'm not going to worry about using shift. I'm just going to draw it straight down like that. And I imagine that same line coming here. I know, hey, you know what? That's right about, it's not going to cut much of the breast off, just a little bit of the breast off if I come down like that. And we're drawing bigger. The reason why we're drawing bigger is because if you draw the same size, you're going to find yourself just kind of, imagining it over here like this and going, okay, well, there's the head. My breast is going to go here. That's the bottom breast line, and one breast there, and so forth. Anyway, get the idea. It makes it a little bit too easy. Now, that's great, for when you're first starting and stuff, just to get the general ideas down. And in fact, you might want to start drawing from grid at first in order to train your brain to see what you're looking at. But then over time, you want to start to actually draw it normal. So I know that if I divide the head into 3 parts, about 3/4 of the head is about the length of the neck. And so instead of trying to figure out how much space is there and I'm just going to go with my knowledge, with what I have. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to draw exactly what I see. I just want it to be really close. I definitely want it to resemble. And if I do an angle like that, I know that's not going to be right. I can just see, like, hey, that angle's not right. One way to kind of see how big the angle is draw a straight line this way and go, okay, well, how much off is that angle from there? And you can kind of see that, So you can go and maybe draw a straight line or kind of imagine it, and then you can kind of go off of that and go, all right, so let's kind of make that straight line. Another thing you can do is go, well, where's the elbow? The elbow's here and the elbow's here. How much space is there between those 2 elbows? Imagine a straight line coming out this way. And go, okay, that's about how much space there is. So once you figure out where this elbow is going to be, because it's almost straight across, then you can go, okay, let's see here. Let's kind of, I might not have enough room here. Imagine this kind of triangle shape here coming out like that. Maybe I have the elbow be somewhere right about there. And then I know that her other elbow also, just think about what does it cut through? It cuts through her lips. Well, I know her lips would be right about here, so I can just kind of imagine that coming out here. And now I have my other triangles out there somewhere like that. I don't want to go too far out, as I just did there. And then go, okay, how far away, like how wide is the head? Maybe it's 2 heads wide, so it's like 1, maybe 2 heads, so it's like about here. So you start to narrow it down. You want to put something down so you can start seeing and looking and comparing. And then you're like, okay, well, that's definitely wrong. And maybe this is a little bit less too, something like this here, right? And then, so now we have something to work with. We start to get shapes down, and then from there you can start filling in the volume and things like that. And so get the angles and stuff, and it really does help. And this technique is just something that has helped me tremendously when I want to draw from references, especially if I want it to be pretty accurate, but I don't want to do something like the grid method or something like that. And we might actually change those lines as I'm looking at them, like, okay, you know what, actually the lips would come like this. Maybe the elbow would be more about here. You can start messing with that and get that more perfect. Maybe this one might be a little bit lower too, like so. Something like that. And then you might still change this. That's why you want to just be very fast right now. Don't try to draw accurate yet. Don't try to like draw the anatomy and stuff. Let's just draw some basic shapes in here. And let's see, how close did we get that? And we won't know until we start adding other stuff in. I mean, you can already, I guess, start kind of looking at it and go, hey, how close did I get that by using other methods of looking and seeing? And I'm just going to kind of go like that. So the other, I just look at negative space. So you look at the negative space here and go, okay, how close did I get that negative space? And you can go, well, maybe it'd be might be a little bit wider, a little bit bigger there. And then here I can see this negative space might need to be a little bit bigger on this side over here. What side is longer? This side here is a little bit longer, actually, it looks like, than that side. So that's something that we can, kind of figure out and add right away. The next thing is go, okay, well, how far is this right here, this mark, from the head here? So there's one head. It's almost a head, it's a little bit wider than a head. So if we go, here's a head width, about like that, just go a little bit wider than that. Now we have a line that's pretty close to where we need to be. So now, once you have that, then you can go, hey, that's not cutting her arm where my arm is cutting. Right? That's one thing you can do. Or you can go, hey, I'm just going to stick with my arms. I think they look good. I like how they look. And then just go from that and go, okay, well, if that's correct and everything is how it should be, then you just go, where's my shoulder going to be here? And the arm fits in like this. And then you can just kind of go right off of that, and that can be where you can start coming in like this. But I know that can't be right because look I go by the width of the head. And also my head might be way too wide, so you want to make sure that that's pretty accurate as well. And looking at it, it looks like her head might be a little bit thinner. Actually, I think it's pretty accurate, but if I come out right here to the edge of the head, this comes straight down right here like that. And I'm drawing a different layer, so that way I can just erase it. And then I go that exact same width. It's actually, let's get really accurate with my seeing here. And if you want to double check, you can even double check and go, hey, how close is that? That was like spot on. So there we go. And I can see that's how much of my head I need to cut in, or that's how much of my arm I need to cut into. So I know the head width. So if I go exactly a width, it's actually pretty much exactly one head width. So if I just take that space and go exactly a head width here, that's where the arm is going to kind of start like this. We're going to kind of get that curve, and that's where I'm going to have my rib cage start to come down like that. So there we have it. Let's just go with that right there. And then I know my rib cage is going to be just kind of drawing a basic oval shape there for the rib cage for now. Then I can have my arm coming up to here. So now I know because of this right here that my arm needs to come out a little bit more, right? Because we can see if well, actually, you know what? Hold on, I did this wrong. I'm looking at this again, and again, if you need to measure, you can measure. Use your ruler or something like that. I just want to make sure this is exactly accurate, and then I just want to put a little mark right there. Right about, so that's about where I want the arm. And so I'm going to kind of erase some of this right here because it's too. Am I in the right layer still? Yeah. Huh. How come it's not letting me erase? Oh, that's why it's still technically selecting something. And let's go make a line like right about here. And a lot of this you'd be doing in your imagination, you know, like just like when I did that, when I showed you a second ago, the one that's very stylized, I didn't bother doing any of this. I just kind of had fun with it and did some cool flow lines and stuff and got into it. And you can also do that too, like start out with a nice kind of gesture flowy thing, and then after you have all that kind of nailed down, then come back in and start, you know, doing a little bit of measuring here and there and like looking at angles and stuff and kind of fixing up your sketch and kind of sketching or drawing over the sketch even. So now I know that from right there where I had that curve of the arm, that's where, so arm's going to come in and attach like this, and then right from off that line, that's where we're going to have the shape of the rib cage kind of coming off like this, coming down. So I want to get that angle. If we kind of imagine that angle going all the way through and then coming like this, you know, how accurate is that angle compared to here? If you kind of imagine, see, if I imagine there's that space. I got that space right. What line do I want to use? Do I want to use a diagonal line from here, or do I want to kind of use this edge of the rib cage right here, where it comes down, then it kind of pulls off to like this? And I know this right here, this line right here is where the breast is, so I know that it goes down to the breast and then it starts curving this way. So I know that's about right. It comes down here, then it starts curving, because this right about here is my breast line. And I know that because typically one head width down from, if you go like here's one head, then two heads, right about there is where you usually have the bottom of the breast. They can fall a bit farther than that, depends how large the breasts are and how stretchy the skin is, you know, how old the person is to how much the skin stretches. So if you kind of imagine this angle right here now, that's what I'm kind of imagining. And if you need something to make sure you kind of get it right, just kind of make a line, a horizontal line like this, and go, okay, what does that similar, you know, Pac-Man looking thing look about the same? I didn't make that quite straight, but you get the idea. And you can get pretty close and go, okay, cool, I think I got that angle pretty accurate. And then I know that for right about here, from her neck across, so right about here from her neck across, I can make another parallel line to that, and that should be pretty accurate as far as, you know, the shape that we're trying to get here for where she's going to fit into. Then you just kind of imagine that line going all the way across, and it cuts off most of, if we use that line, look at it, it cuts off most of her hips, so hardly any of the hips is going to fit outside of this. And we can go, okay, from, you can also have these same guidelines on here too. I didn't do that, but if you have the, you know, head lengths here, like here's the one head length, and then two, and then three, right below, like a little bit below the belly button, and then four right there above the knee. So you can kind of, if you need to have those kind of lines right there going across, you can go, okay, cool. That's kind of about where my, you know, head lines are. And so you know that, you know, 1, 2, 3, this third, you know, the 1, 2, 3, this third line, the belly button's going to be right above that. And so you can kind of, you know, start fitting in little landmarks, and from those landmarks you can start building your sketch out from that. So basically it's a very accurate way to draw, but it's also a lot more fun to me than the grid method. I find the grid method just to be, man, just like such a chore, such a work. It's just there's no fun in it at all for me. With this, it's kind of fun because I'm having to figure out like little puzzles or something. I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever, makes sense to me. Right, so then from here you go from the belly button down to the knee. We know that we know the knee is going to fit into this area right here, right about that. Remember that line goes right to the knee. So then I can go, well, where's the knee at? Well, if I already have placed the belly button, I know it's, you know, it's a little off to the left. I have more room on this side, less room on this side from those diagonal lines that I made inside the image here. And you can see that is true. And then I can go and go, what if I go from the nose down, it straight line, it pretty much crosses the belly button. So I know that the center of the head here, the nose is going to be somewhere right about here. And so let's kind of draw a straight line. And we go, okay, we can adjust this a little bit. We're pretty close. And then now we have a straight line. We can kind of go, hey, okay, I don't know why this isn't working. Hold on. Okay, actually, I was right. That line wasn't straight. I had it accurate. Sometimes this software It's weird. I like the way Photoshop works better for that. Like you have to kind of start drawing up and down first and then hold shift and then it'll allow you to draw a straight line. You can't just like hold shift and start drawing. It doesn't work. If you like, you can tap and hold shift and do this, but then you don't know how straight it is. So I just kind of lightly draw up and down and then you can hold shift and it works anyway. So from there, the reason why I wanted to do this line here is look at that. And instead of relying on your eyes, sometimes doing this helps more. Now I can start cleaning this up. I can start getting rid of a lot of these lines I don't really need anymore. So by doing that, I know how offset I want her crotch to be. That's what I'm kind of looking at right now. I want how far is her crotch going out over here, and I can see it's just a little bit over. And actually, where this line, this diagonal line right here goes and connects and hits here, like that, and then where it connects and hits this line here, straight up from that, pretty much is where. That's about where the crotch is. So my crotch can be somewhere right about there. So somewhere about here, I'm going to have my. And look at, I'm kind of starting to build a type of grid here. It's not really a grid, but there's there's shapes I can see. I can kind of go by those shapes, and I can go, hey, look at, if I have my thigh, it actually fits right on to that shape right there, and it kind of comes off that shape. Something like that, and then this one here looks like it kind of comes. If you kind of come straight across, you can see there. I'm kind of curious how. Yeah, they're pretty much horizontal to each other. So you can kind of just draw this kind of triangle in here, and it comes out just like this. Boom. So there we go. Now we are a little bit a step closer to getting our drawing. Like I said, once you have enough landmarks, then it's all about just drawing in the anatomy and stuff, and having fun. But you can already start to see it starting to kind of resemble and look like what we have, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to kind of start getting rid of some of these lines, though. And if you find it gets too messy and you're working with pencil and paper, you can always just trace the main thing you have here and then put that underneath your paper and go on top of that. If you can't see through your paper, then maybe use a weak light board. For using like regular drawing paper and tracing paper underneath it, all you need is something like a cheap LED light board on Amazon. They're like $20 or something like that. They work great. There's homemade ways you can do it too, like putting a light bulb, like make a box and then buy a piece of glass from a store or something, or if you have a piece of glass laying around, and put that on top of a box and put a light underneath it inside the box, and line the inside of the box with tinfoil or something. Anyway, okay. So the next thing is look at my knee gets cut in half by this diagonal line. So that's perfect. See, rather than having to rely, and look at, see how foreshortened this knee is? This shape right here is really easy to draw incorrectly if you just go by your intuition and just kind of draw and just don't have any sort of lines at all and just go, I'm just going to kind of draw that on there. You might like, oh, the knee's going to be somewhere here. I have that nice shape. It's like, oh yeah, let's kind of really pull that shape around. That looks nice. And the knee's here and so forth. And you might make it too long. It's really easy to make too long. And the reason why is because your brain knows how long the leg is, and especially if you've learned proportions and stuff, this is not how long the upper thigh is. That's just wrong. It's incorrect. But it's because it's foreshortened. It's coming at us, and that's why it's so short. Just like if you had a soda can that is, or a pipe that is this long, let's say, a cylinder that's long, if we turn it toward us like this part gets bigger, and because it's turned toward us, it gets shorter. Right? Same pipe. These are the same pipe. One equals the other. But as it turns toward us, it gets shorter. It changes its shape as well. Distorts the shape. Anyway, so now I know about, where I want the knee to be. So I'm going to put that in there now. But then we got to go, well, how far down is it? Well, we can kind of see how far down it is. And amazingly, it's not down very far. Remember, this line right here, that's the knee line, so the knee is just going to fit right, so you can see it's right in half. The knee fits right here. I never would have thought this. Like, I'm looking at the image. I've already drawn it twice. Well, I've drawn it once. Well, technically I've drawn it twice. I drew it one time. Well, it wasn't exactly the same poses. Something similar. I looked at this photo and kind of was sketching very quickly like gesture, and then I stop looking at the photo and I base a drawing on that gesture. And then I did the one that you saw here, this one here, very stylized version of it. And then this is just basically a trace over grid type method. It's very, very accurate to the photograph, if not just almost completely accurate. Anyway, so I have all that knowledge in my brain from doing that, but I never would have guessed that it's this close. So what I want to do now is I want to go, okay, how far from the belly button, like this, if I have that belly button mark, and kind of, okay, I got to start lightly drawing and then go like this. Okay, from the belly button mark to this right here, I can see, right? So I can go from here to here. So if I imagine that that's a mark like this, and then I come down here right about, wait, how did I get that mark? Oh, I see what I did wrong. Why did I do that? Why did I put the mark there? Oh, I see what I did. How did I get this line? I don't know why I drew that line there. Hold on a second. Let me see something. I just want to make sure we got 1, 2, that's that line. That's that line right there. Yeah, that line. And then we got that line. Well, it's a little bit off. It's supposed to be right about, I think it's supposed to be right about there, actually. And so I don't know how I got that line. Okay, so I'm going to erase some of this. So this line right here, I don't have no idea how I got that measurement, that line for the crotch, but what I was looking at it wrong. I had a feeling something didn't seem right to me. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to go from the edge of her head again here. Come straight down. Yeah, the crotch is actually a little bit to the left of that. So one, I placed the crotch all wrong. So let's go ahead, erase that. I know it has to fit between these two lines, almost exactly in the middle. See that? That line and that line, the belly button line and that head line. The crotch fits right between there. Well, at least what we can see of the crotch where the legs start separating. Just like that. That's where that's going to be. The knee is accurate. The knee is going to stay where it's at. But how do I know when to start pulling these lines? So I can go, I have this shape here. I can divide this, right? I can go, well, let's divide that. How much? Look at it, almost divides into thirds. That's like perfect, right? So all I have to do is go, let's go ahead and take this box here and pretty much divide it into thirds. This takes some practice. You should be able to divide into thirds though. Eventually, it's not too difficult. Okay, cool. Now I can kind of come over. I'm just gonna kind of draw that shape. And how high does it go? This part right here needs to be really accurate. Okay, so it looks like it goes up. Oh, perfect. Looks like it goes up to that third mark right there. So we have go into thirds. It goes up right up to that. Okay, cool. So we're gonna kind of take our shape like that and pull it this way. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side and pull it like that. So that triangle shape is really important that we get accurate, because this, if you want it to really resemble what you're looking at, this area here is where you're really going to have a lot of trouble because it's so much foreshortening. And a lot of eye trickery happens, at least for me it does. And then I can go, okay, from the edge here, draw a line straight up right there, draw a line straight up right here. And this is just going to help me see how far, the angles are. And I go, okay, so if I come straight down like this, oops, lightly, and then hold down shift, I go, okay, so I know I need that, and I have that line right here so I can see how much it divides it. And I can see, okay, right above that, I know from anatomy that right above the belly button is where you start having that curve anyway. And you can see it starts happening in the photograph right above that as well. And seeing some of this, you can start seeing I'm kind of using some grid ideas here. Grid ideas, instead of great. Like so. That's about how far it's going to go. And then I got to go, okay, it comes like this, and I can see the shape, and the shape is something I'm going to go with anatomy and stuff. But for now, I just want to make sure this is all accurate. It comes down like that, and then the leg comes wrapping around. And the leg starts wrapping around. How high does the leg go up? It goes up to this line right here, just about a little bit below that line. That's the second line here. So this is about where the leg starts wrapping around. So I'm going to kind of go like that, follow that shape in that leg, and we're going to come right around underneath the knee here like this. Look how foreshortened that is. Right? I never would have guessed that this shape right here is so short. And sometimes it's good just to trace right over it like that. Just to trace over it, get a feel. Even though it's smaller than what we're drawing, you can kind of see the shapes are similar. If you draw those two shapes and go, okay, yeah, that's definitely similar. And it helps just kind of break the illusion that your brain has, because the brain is going to think, no. Another thing too, I have this straight line like that, and that you can see that little triangle, that little space right there. And look, I got it right on, even though I didn't see that because I didn't have that line there. Now it's there. I can see it matches up, so I can double check that I did it right. And I can come with this shape here like that. And that's going to go right into that shape. So something like so. And I want to just kind of, start cleaning up some of this as we're going. Foreshortening is really weird. It looks very strange, as you can see. I want to leave some of those lines because I might need them again. But for now, I just want to go something like that. Okay, so I think that side is pretty accurate. Now I got to translate the same thing on this side over here. So if I continue to draw that line like this, I can see it only cuts off a little bit of the hip. So I know if I have this line pretty accurate and parallel with the other one, like this, that was way off. Right? Then I know that obviously this line's only going to go up so far, it's not going to come all the way to the edge. But for right here, and I need to kind of erase some of this too so I can kind of see something here. There we go. So that line comes straight down. You can see the rib starts curving in right about there. And I can see it's right about where the breast line is, right about here. And now my breasts are going to be fitting in this area, like right in this area. I can kind of maybe just start doing the ovals for those. That nose line straight down, and then the other one comes here. Kind of comes like this. I'm just going to kind of go by anatomy, what I understand about the body, and kind of fit that in there. And this one's going to kind of come that way. Also, I'm watching the center line, how much of the breast goes over that center line. So I'm trying to keep it accurate as well, but something like so. I can change this. I just want to make sure that it's something like that. And one thing I'm going to see here, I'm going to get this line more accurate. Let's get this exact size of the head here. About like that. Okay, so that's where it is. I'm going to make a little mark right here. Perfect. There we go. I just want to make sure that I'm accurate right there. And then I'm going to come up with this, boom, this line right here. Come back up to the nose. There we go. So you can see the breast does fit right into there. So actually it's a lot smaller than I drew it. I'm used to drawing big breast, obviously. So let's kind of just draw the ovals into this area. They fit more like this. And then here like that. Okay, something like that. We'll change it a little bit, but that's pretty good. We'll get the shapes more accurate in a little bit. A couple of things I wanted to do here. I want to make sure this line, I want to get closer, like to the photograph. As you can see, what I'm talking about. I want to start from like right here, like this. So I want to stay parallel with this line that I drew, but I want to go like this. There we go. Okay, so I know it's going to cut a lot more off. And I can also see if I come down here, I can also see I went a little out too far. So I'm going to change it. I was just looking at it from a distance. Every now and again I want to kind of zoom out and kind of just look at it and go, hey, And I can just see, I just feel like this is too wide, so I can already see that it is now. So I'm going to kind of erase a lot of this. I'm not going to erase all of it though, because I want to be able to see what I did and then come back with it, so I don't just do the same mistake again. So one, I know that right here the rib cage is going to come down and then it's going to come over like this. So I want to make sure I have that angle right, parallel with this one here. And it's going to come all the way down to the belly button before it starts curving out. And that looks about accurate, okay. and then a little bit, just a little bit above it's going to start coming down, but it's going to come almost straight down first, like this. It's going to come almost straight down at first, and then it's going to start coming out a little bit like this, like that, and then then I'm going to have that leg shape again here, but I know it's not going to be quite as wide as I had it there, and it's going to kind of come down more, and then over like that. Now I can get rid of that. Actually, I think it's going to come almost straight down more, then start curving. I think like this. I think that's the right curve, something like that. And we can also change it more as we go if we still feel like, okay, that's not quite right. But that's feeling pretty good. And sometimes it's better when you have more information to work from. We can figure out what to fix from there. But I just noticed that that wasn't right, so I wanted to fix it. And sometimes it helps, like I said, take a second to just kind of observe your drawing and look at it for a second and go, okay, look at the photograph. Take your time to do that. And as I'm doing that, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, it's something, this feels wrong to me. And so if I take the distance from there to there, I'm like, okay, so I know it should be in thirds, so that is from the belly button down here. I should be able to kind of divide, like I said, divide it into thirds. And that's where it should start. And I already kind of figured out where it needs to go from there, but before I do that, actually, I'm going to change this one more time. I'm going to kind of lighten that up. I think this needs to come in just a little bit more. A little bit more thinner. Comes in. Starts to come out here. Then that's where you see the hip. Boom. And then one more line here again, which is the leg. As it comes in, like something like that. Because if you look at it, there's this really nice curve to the whole image. See how it kind of swoops in like that, and then look at this other curve here. And then, but at the same time, if I draw a straight line up and down from here to here, I have to make sure I retain that as well, though. That line right there. So. Alright, something else felt wrong, and that's what it is, because I'm not quite accurate, so I need to get rid of some of these lines. So I just zoomed in to look at this and watch. Let me fix this really fast. I need to go a lot more accurate, so if we go from, just change my pencil accent, there we go, from the edge right here, this is where I wanted to be at, and come straight down. You can see it's actually, how come it's not drawing a straight line? There we go. Look how much space there is there now. Okay, that's a lot of space, so that's something I just didn't seem right there. So now let's come from here, straight up and get accurate here. Goes almost like to where the nipple would be. Okay, so right where the rib cage kind of cuts like that, that's like almost like the center spot. Okay, that's good to know. Come back over here. I want to replicate that so I know. And then actually I think I placed this just about right this time. Come up. So I'm like my drawing looks right. This part of my drawing looks right. So yeah, and that would be yeah, so okay. That middle spot right there would be where the middle spot right here would be where the ribs kind of come almost straight up and down right here, don't they? Not quite, but kind of has like an angle like this. And then somewhere that's where it starts curving in like that. And I think I'm going to erase this a little bit here. I know that line's wrong now. Something about like, and I feel like this, so I know I need to come to that line right about there. So like that, so it comes out about there. Maybe a little bit wider than it is in the photograph. And it needs to kind of come in toward the knee like this. Something like that. Now I know I'm getting closer to the photograph. Cool, so I just need to draw a line there so I can see how accurate I got it. And I can already look here and see it's not quite accurate. Because if you look at this angle, the angle of the leg here, in comparison with this right here, that T we have, which we have right here, and then you have the angle here, you can kind of look at it and go, does that look right? Is it far enough away from the knee? Is it too close to the knee? And then another thing you can look at is go, well, if I have, let's see here, the knee, draw from the bottom of the knee, coming straight out like that, oops, like that, and then how much, if we come straight up and down, from the center. In this case, it's almost as if I'm drawing a little grid right there. But I just want to make sure I get that accurate. So if I kind of imagine this right here in half, and like the bottom of the knee like that, I think this line is pretty accurate. Like where it comes down, like this, is pretty accurate. But it needs to, I think it needs to cut in more. I feel like, or maybe the knee's just not right. Something doesn't seem right to me. Comes like. I'm going to kind of draw each side of the leg first, and maybe that'll help me see it better. I know it's a little bit, there's only a little bit of space before you get to this shape here. Remember, I know that's going to come up to about that 3/4, so if I cut this shape into 3 pieces, it's not going to come up very high, then it comes at an angle, and it's going to cut to right about here. So you can see where it's coming to, like that straight, that kind of curve is right at the bottom of this curve, this kind of part, bottom of the hip part here. It's kind of following like where the iliac line would be. And I can kind of come like that, and then I know the other side kind of comes the same way. So I can get that in there. And then still the leg from the knee out this way, there's this kind of shadow. I can kind of imagine that first. And then see the distance. It looks pretty accurate, but it's not, I don't think it is. So what we can do is get closer to this image so we can kind of see what's happening. That's what I had to do before, just to figure out, okay, what am I not seeing correctly here? If I come down with that line, like that, then this is that top of the knee line. And am I right there? See, I'm not on the top of the knee exactly, so that's what's wrong here between my image and that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to raise my line here because I have the knee kind of up here more, maybe a little bit higher even, just like that. And so now my knee, when I think about it, it's kind of still accurate because my knee, the knee does come, I'm just not drawing that part of the knee, but it does come up like that. And now I can go look at this and go look at, I have that kind of shadow comes right at the knee, and then from right here, like where this line intersects there, the leg comes down and then it starts curving, and there's the angle. The angle is not parallel with this line here. It's a little bit off. See, if I keep drawing it, it comes a little bit off. So that's one marker I can look at and go, okay, does that match my leg? Does my leg angle? So if I take that angle and kind of parallel with this line and continue to parallel that angle again, yeah, it does kind of come off. And so what if I just go like this, come right where the lines start to meet? Where was it at again? Where this came across here and met with this line here, that's when it starts curving in. Okay, so it starts curving in right there, so we come down. I think I came out too far is what it was. I think the angle and everything is right, like that, and then it comes down. I think that's more right now. I think what it was is I think I came down too far with this line, so I had the angle right, but if you come down too far with this line and come across, it makes the leg thicker. And so in that case, now the leg is thinner. And then you can also look at it and go, how thick is the leg? You know, kind of maybe draw some contour lines going back like this, you know, and make sure that it kind of feels similar. Yeah, see, that feels similar now. It felt too thick before. Cool. So we're on our way here. We're making progress. So that's pretty good. I feel like the breast is pretty accurate and everything feels pretty good. Cool, so now we just have to come in with this line now. Well, actually, I think I want to finish the hips first, so let's do that. Let's look at over here. Kind of got a little bit sloppy, so if I take that line and come down like this, I know the hips have to fit off that line. And then I can take some of these diagonal lines, so I have that, or horizontal lines. So I have this line coming across here where the belly button's at. What information does that tell me with this when it crosses this line? I know a little bit above that is where the hip starts coming out, and I get that first. Let's zoom in so you can kind of see this. I get this first shape right here. Boom, like that, the first shape of the hip, and then you get the second shape. So it's like, goes like this, and then sometimes from here, then it kind of curves around, because then the leg would kind of fit in here, and the leg kind of fits in like that. But there's usually enough fat tissue with her like that, and it kind of just connects those two together as one. So you just have 1, 2 like that. But that's the basic idea with the anatomy behind there. And so now I can see and go, okay, cool. If I have that diagonal line, I know from that diagonal line here, I need to have, and I can kind of cut this box in half, sort of, and that gives me that anchor point from that triangle, and that it creates these two triangles like that. See that? I'll color them in. See what I'm talking about? That's what I'm kind of looking at. I'm going, okay, cool, that's pretty, it's pretty nifty. So I can come diagonally across like this, oops. And then I know that, let's make it where we can see both of these. Then I go, okay, so I know I can have that one coming straight up, and that's going to give me but I know the breast has to also hang out a little bit, so let's see here. I want to be really accurate with this, so I'm going to kind of erase some of this here. I just want to make sure this line is very accurate to the edge of her head right here. It cuts through the breast a little bit, yeah, that's why I had it accurate. So it's come on this one, make sure we're really accurate with that as well. Might even come in just a little bit more. Oops, what is it doing? No, right here. Come on. Yeah, I want to come in just a little bit like that. Okay, so I can see my breast isn't quite accurate. It needs to come out just a little bit more. So coming like this. And I don't mind that I'm going underneath that line a little bit. And also, like, her way her bikini fits, it like almost has that arch line. I usually draw this line right here anyway. And the bikini's like kind of makes that line, which is kind of interesting. And then from here we need to come almost straight down from the breast here. But it kind of falls more like this though, almost straight down like this. And that's like where the rib cage kind of just falls like that, and then it kind of, from there, let me kind of get rid of some of this sloppiness. It's all getting in my way. Comes straight down right here. Then it starts coming across, and it follows that diagonal line for just a second. And then it starts veering off that diagonal line to where we can get the shape here like this. And that how much outside the line does it go? About like that. So I just want to kind of match that shape. About like so. And we can start to change the shape more. But it's about like that. I think I might have made it too big, but you get the idea. Okay, cool. And then from there I can go, okay, well the belly button coming across, it should give me that one shape. So I actually need to go a little bit higher. So from here to the belly button, if I come straight down with that line again, like so, then I have that diagonal line coming across like that. So I have this shape here, that works good. Get rid of some of that. And then it kind of comes out again right here, and I just kind of round it all the way around. And this is going to end up rounding into where the leg is. I'm looking at the bar right now. I'm just trying to see. The bar is a little bit below the crotch line, so it's kind of put this. I'm going to kind of draw the bar in here. It has kind of a curve to it as well. And it fits right about like that. I just want to get that in there because that's going to give me a good space to put the leg, because I see the leg kind of comes down and it kind of sets on that bar, and because it's sitting in the bar it kind of pushes up on it, and that's going to cause the leg to come out this way like this. So we're going to have it shaped like that. The knee is going to be somewhere around here, but it falls at an angle. So I'm looking at the knee here, this knee, that side, and that side. So if you kind of see where the knee kind of fits in, so kind of have that same angles here. We know the knee has to kind of fit somewhere into those shapes, and just kind of do the basic shape like that. Come across this way, then we're going to come down like that. Down, I think that's about right. Yeah, so something like that. And then I can kind of just have basic shapes here for now. We'll come back in and see how that works out. So I want to put something there just for I have something to work with and go, okay, cool, that kind of works. And and here's where you can, if you don't want to be accurate, you want to be more stylized, you can stylize all this. You're like, hey, I don't want to make sure it's absolutely perfect and matching the photograph. You can kind of make the breast larger, pop out, or make this curve. Maybe you really want to push this curve out more, so you want to really exaggerate this curve. You're going to come way out here before you come in to the knee. You can do something like that. You want to just really kick it out and push it off to the side, so you can kind of change things that you're looking at. And so it's up to you how accurate you want to get. Okay, cool. So look at that. See how it's very accurate. It's matter of fact, if we look back at this other drawing, the accurate drawing, you can see it's starting to look a lot like this. And if I wanted to, here you can see I pushed out this. I really exaggerated what I just said. And that's where I pushed that out, where I was just talking about. That's kind of what I did. When I was kind of looking at it, I'm like, I want to really exaggerate, because when I look at the photograph, it just looks like it really pushes out this way. And this kind of does too, but I don't know if it's something about the way the coloring is in the photograph. It just looks like it pushes more. Alright, cool. So I think we got everything really accurate right now. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and because otherwise sometimes like if I record more than an hour, it'll start messing up on me. So I'm going to do this, and then I'll come back with another video. I don't know why I even told you that. You're not going to notice the difference. Right, so we think we really only need one line to pay attention to now for the legs, the rest of the legs. So it kind of comes straight down. Oops, that's not good. Come on. There we go. So right, that belly button line, this line right here, just kind of comes straight down with that line. And we can kind of look at it and go, how much of the leg is supposed to be, on that side of the line and this side of the line. And obviously I can see that angle is way wrong. That should be almost more straight. So it should come like this, come down because of that muscle. And then the calf muscle kind of comes out a little bit and kind of comes down like that. I think that's about right. And then I don't think it says, it should be almost even. See on each side of this line, it's almost even. And see, mine's way not even. So I think I just need to cut it like that and come all the way in almost to where it comes to there we go, something like that. It converges with that line down there, about like that. And I'm not going to draw the rest of the stuff. I don't have room for it anyway, but I wasn't planning on drawing all the feet and stuff, so that's good, I think. Actually, this photograph creates an interesting straight line right here. Look at this. It's almost a straight line, just like straight down. Actually, it is pretty much a straight line. So I'm going to come straight down like this, and that gives me my other side of my leg. Comes down like that. Now I can see this leg is definitely not right. It's wrong. So I'm going to come like that. And it doesn't come out as much like that. And it starts to come in like this. So it's about like that. And there we go. We got a nice drawing. Like, this is really good. This is so accurate. And again, this method, I find it a more fun way to get really accurate drawings. And this only necessary, this techniques I'm using is only necessary when you want to get really accurate drawings. And by the way, over time, you'll cut out, like the more you practice this technique, you'll start cutting out steps. Like, I don't need to do that now. I don't need to do that now. And you'll just like start seeing stuff a lot easier and be like, you know what? Boom, you can just like kind of pull that shape right away. You just like see that nice curve and that kind of opposite C curve over here. Just kind of see that gesture. And you're like, oh, that's nice. And kind of just pop in the rib cage. And you know where that line should be. And you kind of start drawing you just start drawing everything, and it starts fitting in really nice. And you don't have to do nearly as much. You don't have to really do any measuring or relating. You kind of do all this in your head. You just kind of see. You don't have to draw anything on the photograph or on the page. You can just kind of see it in your head and not have to draw anything. Okay, so now we got everything pretty accurate. Let's do the arms. And the arms are pretty much there. I know the hands are going to start right about here, so I'm just going to kind of put where I want my wrist to be, something like that. And then this wrist starts, looks like about like there. I'm kind of getting burned out already on accuracy. I really hate it. I hate this kind of drawing. I like drawing from my imagination. I like inventing stuff rather than trying to draw from photographs, and drawing from life is just not as fun to me. And if you're like that too, and you're getting bored with drawing from photographs, I highly recommend taking my course on, or two of my courses really, my Fundamentals to Draw Anything course, and then also my other course on anatomy. I have another one coming out soon too. It's going to be a crash course for mastering the human figure, but for now, those courses are great. My anatomy course is like the full inventing the human body from your imagination. It really just puts it all into your mind, so you can really draw the human figure from your imagination. Doesn't quite look right to me. I think the arm might be too thick, but I can double check that in a second. But yeah, anyway, so anatomy for figure drawing, masterpaintingnow.com. That's masterpaintingnow.com. The link's in the description. Check it out if you want to learn to draw from your imagination. It's awesome stuff. So I think what's throwing me off a little bit is that shadow right there that's cutting the bicep in half. Let me go ahead and, I'm pretty sure the bottom line is right. I think this top line is a little bit off. So I can imagine, if I kind of, I'm going to draw a straight line. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. That's pretty. Oops. Look at that. It's pretty straight like that. Comes right across for the arm there. I think that's about right. So what was really throwing me off is this right here, this shadow that cuts the bicep in half. But another thing that's throwing me off is that I know how big the shoulder is and how big the bicep is. But her arm is actually coming toward us. Her elbows are actually pointing at us a little bit, and her right elbow is pointing at us more than her left elbow. So this arm is a lot more foreshortened than this arm. And because of that, the shape of the bicep kind of changes and everything kind of changes a little bit. So I know that the neck comes down to a little bit above this line, as you can see. The deltoid comes up, starts making its way like that to that line like this. And then the bicep comes and like cuts right in there like that. But it kind of, it's so much shorter than that though. It's weird. I'm gonna just draw that shadow, because that's, hold on a second. If I draw this line, this is bugging me. Draw that line straight up. That's this line right here. And then it's like almost from there to there. It's like almost halfway in the middle between those two lines. So yeah, it's like right there. Wow, that's so short. Okay. That's where it's cutting it off, I think. Still looks quite hefty in the drawing, but I think with some shading it'll fix it. I think that's accurate though. So the lines are accurate, but it's a little too thick, I'm pretty sure. So what we need to do, and also kind of see how the shadow just kind of flows right into the rib cage. So we can kind of flow that line like this. Watch this. Boom, like that. Just kind of flow that line. And I'm going to make it a little bit lower because, like I said, I think it's a little too thick. So I'm going to come down right here. I'm just going to kind of flow this line like that. And then I can erase it. There we go. That flows nicely. And then the bicep, no, not I'm at the deltoid. I'm getting burnt out. I'm going to draw a straight line from her chin. I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, it pretty much connects right to that line. So yeah, right there. I was about to go higher, then I'm like, I don't know. Let me double check that because it looks like it might be right there. And that is all going to be wrong now. So from the middle of the deltoid, you have that shadow and part of the muscle like this, and then you have this kind of curve in here, like that, where you have the arm coming like this, the armpit, and then yeah, that looks right. She looks super buff the way I drew it, though. Let's kind of smooth those lines out here. Just do the contour like this. And then, actually, that shadow, actually, I think is going to cut the bicep even more. Like right about there, maybe. Might as well dedicate that in there. Some shadow. Just try to look at it. And you know, now it comes down to personal preference. Unless you still want to be really accurate, then you continue to do little measurements and look at things in relation to each other, make sure everything's matching to get it exactly accurate. But if you're not so concerned accuracy of the exact size of the arm and stuff, then it comes down to preference, like what looks good to you. So you can kind of go, you know what? I think the arm should be thicker or thinner. You know, it comes down to what do you think looks good in the drawing. Keep in mind that shading often will change things too, though. It might make things look thicker or thinner. I'm going to start just adding all this shadow right in here because I know this is all accurate. So I'm going to start adding some shadow in here. And then you can decide, you know, how realistic do you want to go with your shadow. And, you know, once you have everything measured in there, once everything's accurate, then the shadows are pretty easy to see. You can kind of just see where the shadows, you know, are falling in the photograph. And you can just kind of place them in a similar spot to your drawing. And something like that. So, okay, cool. I still think that this breast is probably, and the breast follow, I think this one should be a little bit higher. See, the breast actually follow the shoulders. So the shoulders are like this. So the breast line should be parallel to that line, like this. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to make that a lot lighter. And I think this brush should actually come down a little bit farther. Maybe to like there. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to do that parallel line. About like that. Actually, the shoulders aren't quite, they're like more like this. So I'm going to, just a slight angled line here. That's actually pretty close to what I need. I think it's just a little bit. There we go, something like that, I think. Cool. The breast is still hanging out over here. And when we put the bikini on, I think it'll look right. So that's about where it needs to be. And so the reason why the breasts are looking more round is because she has on, you know, something that's pushing her breast together. She also could have fake breasts, but something to keep in mind. But definitely the bra is going, or not the bra, but the bikini is act like a bra is going to pull everything together. I'm going to kind of get rid of some of these lines over here now. And then let's go ahead and pull the shoulders. I know the shoulder is going to be pretty much, remember I made that straight line right here, right there across her collarbone. And where the clavicle is right there. So I'm going to come just straight across like that. And I know that that's where her deltoid on this side is going to start right there. Boom, so I have that shape like that. And then I can see this kind of triangle right here the deltoid has right there. And that's a nice shape to just kind of pull together and just kind of see and match. And then the arm right here, so we have the bicep kind of flowing into that. Shape like that. Boom, and that's going to come down into the breast like this. That's part of the pec muscles. So the deltoid and the pec muscles kind of come together to form one muscle here like this. And the pec muscle comes down like this, attaches here, comes up and actually attaches to the higher part of the arm, like in here somewhere, about like that. Because the deltoid attaches here, you know. Anyway, I'm not going to get all that. You have the humerus bone, and the deltoid attaches about here, and the deltoid here and the pec here. So it attaches up higher than the. So you can see the attaching spot is here. So this is about where the pec muscle would attach. So that's what's given us that line right there, in case you're wondering, like anatomy-wise, what does that? And then we have this kind of, I want to kind of show that. And then from here we see a little bit. So if one coming off here is going to be the tricep. Let's have a nice pointy elbow, like this. And she has a little bit of a tricep. It's very subtle, but it's going to be kind of like that. So there's that slight curve. And then this right here is the, what's that called? Your lats. Latissimus dorsi, I think it's called. And I think that's about right. And all of this right here is pretty accurate already, I think. Amazingly, I just kind of threw those lines in there, but it looks pretty good to me. Boom, like that. We'll check against the photo in just a second. And if you're really getting irritating, just can't figure something out, you're doing little measurements and stuff, and just something still doesn't look right, and you just can't figure out why, then you can go ahead and match it up with the photo. Just make sure to have the photo be the same size as what you're working with, or size it up, whatever. Cool. So I think I might have made this a little bit too thick. If you want it to be kind of more like Wonder Woman, that works pretty good. So I'm going to just kind of a little bit thinner. I think that works. And then I think this arm is just wrong a little bit, because if I come across where the wrist would be, is that her nose area? It's pretty accurate, but the spacing seems wrong. Like, see the spacing here, the negative space? See? Yeah, it's definitely wrong. So I need to come like, I think like this. So the wrist will be like right about here. So I think it's pretty accurate though. I mean, it's pretty close. I just need to drop the arm down a little bit, I think. Right, and then at this stage, before we do the hands and everything, I'm not going to go through and do the hands like in great detail, because hands, if you want to get it exactly accurate to the photo, it's going to be quite difficult, especially they're so tiny. Really hard to draw fingers that tiny. I'm not even sure if my brush is going to go tiny enough for the hands. And yeah, so, but let's go ahead and take this photograph now. I'm going to duplicate it. Layer, duplicate this layer, just in case I mess up here. We're going to go to free transform. By the way, for those that are wondering what software this is, it's called PaintStorm. I put the little link on there, so it automatically, I don't have to hold shift, it automatically just makes sure everything's going to be right. Let's fit this into the size here, so everything is about the same size, where the knees match up there, and the top of the head. It's almost accurate. Right about there. Wow, that's pretty fucking close. Look at all those lines. I might not have sized it up exactly perfectly, but look at, I mean, my rib cage looks like it might come out a little bit further. So I kind of made that bigger, so that's something I could correct. Try to match everything perfectly. Oh, just barely though, just a little bit of extra right there. So I need to just cut in like that. The arm, I look like I made the arm. Yeah, see the arm is a little bit big. Right here, see that? If I zoom in, say OK to that, I think that's the right size now. So see, if I zoom in right here, you can see the arm is a little bit bigger right here, so I could make it thinner. Just cut off that little edge, and this right here, I could have came in more. I came out concave when I should have came in convex. So I should have convexed this and came out. It's almost, look at that though. Wow. Look at this. The arm here is a little bit off, so I could fix that. But for the most part, the wrist, which starts a little, I kind of got that. I got this arm a little bit wrong too. Elbow's up a little bit higher. This arm goes up a little bit higher here. So I could technically make the arm a little bit thinner here still, because it's still matching up the angles right. Elbow's a little bit off, but I need to make that bump a little bit less pronounced. And you can fix all that kind of stuff if you really want to, but I don't think there's any need to. The head is a little bit thinner. I haven't really drawn the head yet, so I would have cut this off anyway, because you can see where the line is. As you can see, I have the line there where I would cut it. This is just extra lines that don't need to be there. That's the line right there that I pay attention to. So it's actually, yeah, see, once I use that line, it's actually pretty damn accurate. The neck and everything. Her neck comes out a little bit higher here, you notice that? So I kind of cut her neck a little bit closer, so I could come out with her neck a little bit bigger. And What else? This is not totally accurate. Pretty close. But you can't, you can't expect to get, unless you're, oh, yeah, see, look at the leg still comes down too much. Even after all that correction, wow, her leg is so skinny right there. I just couldn't see it right. I knew it didn't look right to me, and I got her lines right here kind of wrong, I think. Unless maybe the image just isn't matching up right, but maybe I didn't size it right. It's actually probably a good idea to have the right size to start with, maybe. I don't know. Pretty damn close though. Looks good. So I'm just going to make some of those corrections that I saw with that photo because that was pretty bad. I think that, the photo might not be totally matched up anyways, but so it's about like that. And then this bump is too much. We can pretty much just come like this, I think, and it'll be... Actually, I just went over what I just did, didn't I? Also, that's going to come in a little bit more. I'm just going right back where I just was. Why am I doing that? Let's just cut that off completely like this. There we go. Just come straight with it. Don't even worry about the bump. Now, technically, I know her elbow should maybe be down a little bit more. I know this isn't. I like this kind of more muscular look. It's not totally accurate, but it looks nice. Notice that her breast also. So I think it might even come out just a little bit more. I could look at the photo again and see, but I think it'd probably look better anyway if we just kind of came out a little bit more like that. I'm actually going to check and see. I'm kind of curious. Oh wow, no, it's like way in. I think. Well, technically, if it has to be out because look at this and like that. So I made her breast bigger for sure. But this, if I come in more, I think that. Here, let's go back to where I just was right here. I mean, I guess if I come in and cut this more and come out, but I don't know. I definitely want to get this right though. I just feel like it sits right here on this really good. And then we gotta sit right here on that pipe and then curve in. I think I have the photo just positioned wrong for some of this stuff. Look at the belly button. Wrong layer. There we go. Grab this layer. I'll match that belly button up because I'm pretty sure that is pretty accurate where that belly button is. And then I'm just trying to figure out. That's pretty accurate there. Move it over this way a little bit. So I think I did get this kind of pretty right. I mean, I need to move that in a little bit and come up like that. Alright, so the other thing I noticed, remember over here, this was wrong, so I want to fix that. Get the right thing. Right layer. The breast, I think, and everything is pretty darn accurate as far as like the size and stuff, but this just needs to be convex, needs to go in and then kind of come out like that. So that should pretty much fix that. And see, yeah, see, that fixes that. So boom, and then all this just needs to be smaller, farther apart, and then I think it was a lot smaller like this, and it just comes up like this. And I actually think it has more of a shape like this anyway because of the material. And I think it comes down like that, and then this was all in a little bit more, I think. So, because the breast needs to still look like it hangs out enough, but to get that look, this has to come in, and then we come right there. And then I think this bump actually should come up higher. I don't know if it's like that in the photograph, but I really want to make sure that's visible where the bikini's going to fit into. And they can kind of match up. And that's pretty close. I actually went in a little bit farther than I should have. Yeah, so you can see it's like right about, that's it's pretty accurate already. Why did I even move it? Like that was already really accurate. The breast though, why is it? It's like still sticking out quite too far. So I guess it kind of comes like this and it comes right in like that. Yeah, see, something like that. Okay. I kind of like it sticking out more though, but if you want to make it exactly accurate, there you go. And there's a lot of different measurements you can do and stuff to have seen that. Like we could have gone in over here and made this line right here and that line. We can do, look how far the breast is sticking out between those two lines, and we kind of have those lines over here already, as you can see. Just bring that line back here like that. Now we can see like how much of the breast would be sticking out right there, and then we can also see how much of the breast is sticking underneath. And it's kind of hard to see because look at, it's kind of erase some of that. You can see the breast is coming underneath that line quite a bit. Like that. We might have made it a little bit too, and then this is going to kind of come like the bikini. It's going to kind of come like that and across here and like this. And it's going to come over the neck here. It's going to attach to here like this. Come across. Nice curve like that. And then it has this kind of long strap here between. And then it's going to kind of curve up, like it's going to follow the curvature of the breast, so it's not going to curve like this. It's going to curve like that, follow that curvature of the breast here. Come up like that. Come around. Wraps around like this. And comes that way. And it continues to wrap around the body like this. Like that. Oops. So that's if you want to be accurate. Look at the photo again, yeah. So if you want to be really accurate to the photo, it's like that. But if you want to make the breast stick out more, you can. I like, when I look at this with my naked eye, the breast looks like it's sticking out farther than me. It might just be the contrast and the colors and stuff like that. And so I want to make it stick out more. So, and one other thing I wanted to see something. Look at that. The arm, well, I don't think it's matching up right, so I'm gonna leave that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Pretty damn close, especially with how fast we did this. Because when you want to get like really accurate like that, I just want my breast to stick out more, so I don't care if it's not accurate. That's what I want. I want that look right there more. Cool. So now it is not accurate. It's out just a little bit further, but I actually like that. I think it looks nice. But yeah, anyway, when you want to get really accurate, it can take quite a while. A lot of thinking, a lot of looking, double checking, changing stuff and everything. Obviously, if I don't recommend having the photo underneath like that because you're going to be tempted to use it and you're going to end up using it and cheating. And so it's only do it at the very end if you want to like double check your work just to see. And since I was double checking my work, I might as well just make a couple corrections really fast. But notice how I still drew it and didn't just like trace over it. So the hands, this is, like I said, it's going to be really time consuming, and for the sake of the video I'm not going to go into all this. But so instead I'm just going to kind of go with like what I see and I know based on how hands work. So I can come up like this where the knuckles are and just kind of put that basic shape in there. So we're just going to kind of put the basic shape of the hand like that. Then we'll have the fingers come off like this, and then the second part of the fingers, the longer part like that, where it's going to be touching our head. Okay. Like that, so kind of gripping like so. And then the thumb would be underneath. Actually, this would be thinner. And then the thumb is sticking out here and coming like that, connected to the fingers. And we see a little bit of that little hook like that. Remember, this head needs to be cut quite where I had that line, so that was a good line to have. And then I need to come more thin like this. It's a little bit almost a 3/4 view, kind of. Not quite. Maybe a little bit starting to lean into that 3/4 view just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about drawing the face right now because that would take quite some time too. Let's make the neck come down though, at least, and properly to this piece here. Alright, cool. And then we have the wrist. I think I need to make it a little bit thinner. Her wrists are quite thin. And then I can go, okay, I know I just kind of measure like in my mind this kind of shape here, so I just know that negative shape has to be there. So I can kind of come up with a thumb, kind of put that underneath. And then we're going to have the hand overlapping that. Coming up to this part here. It kind of makes a shape like that. And this is how I do hands anyway. When I do hands, I think I have her hand too high anyway in her head. Yeah, because a lot of this right here is going to be her hairline. Like right here, it will be her hairline. And her hand should be actually a little bit lower. So yeah, I did kind of draw the hand in the wrong spot. Oh well. And then I have the fingers kind of coming up like this at an angle, then coming down like that. It's pretty close though. It should be down a little bit further though, I think, to match. Just to look at the photograph to see, yeah, see the whole thing should have came down. I probably could actually get away with still doing it like that, but just draw the hand a little differently to make it match, but this is fine. I'm just kind of curious how much the head matches. Pretty close. I made a straight line there just because it's easier. Technically her jaw would go more like this, you know, as you can see here. Pretty close. So, alright, there you have it. I'm going to kind of just, I don't want to draw this right now. This will take too long, but I do want it, I want it to be there in the picture, so I'm just going to kind of draw basic shapes where stuff should be, so we have a more complete looking head. I just don't want to take the time to do all that right now. The video is already really long. It would be tremendously longer if I had to do all that. That looks funny. Why does it look so weird? No eyebrows. That might be partly why. Shade that in. And this whole part of the face down here is just kind of shaded in like that. Shade part of the head up here and shade all the hair in. Kind of add the second bun. I don't think it's that big, but I want it visible. How big is it? Oh wow, not even in the right spot. Okay, let's try that again. So it's, you can see it's way over here by the hand more anyway. Like that, so if you want to try to match it up, it'd be more about there. And I think it's going to be a lot smaller actually, isn't it? Something like that. Yeah, there you go. What's a lot smaller? So get rid of that line right there, and there you go. Something like that. Same principles though. Right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shade in the bikini with the tone right now. So that way when I come back and add some shadow to it, it's already kind of shaded in a little bit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make my pencil brush bigger as well so that I can, well, that's too big. I can shade this easier. Look at that, it looks like pencil. It's really cool. Oh wait, no, just this part. There we go. That way it already has some shape to it before I... And then this is going to be like just a little bit of shadow underneath there like that. Okay, cool. The last thing I want to do is add the actual bikini part in. The bottom part of the bikini. So we already kind of have it match where it needs to go. We can see that the first bump is supposed to be right here. And if you need to, I think it only goes up about this far. Let's get rid of some of these lines here. I don't need them anymore. Now that my belly button's right there. So right there is where I know it's going to because it has that curve right there, and that's what kind of pushes that. That's why I drew it like that, because that fat kind of pushes this fat right there. Comes down like this. I'm going to change the shape a little bit too, because I don't like all that fray stuff. And yeah, same thing over here, just right here where that same space is right there, that dent, that's where it's going to attach to, like that. And come down here. And then we're going to come down like this. Like I said, I'm making it a little bit thinner because, and if you can see the photograph, it's pretty damn close, but I made it thinner. And that was done deliberately. And I did that very fast, so I'm not even trying to do any measurements there. Just wanted to look similar. And voila bing, there we go, look at that. Finally, there's this like big shadow right here. I want to at least put some of that in there, because it really does change how that part of the leg looks. Everything else is just, all about erasing, correcting. We can get rid of this layer. It's all about coming back in, erasing a bunch of lines you don't need anymore. And then also, you can redraw again. So rather than keep this, you can just go back over the whole entire drawing and just redraw it. So make a new. If you're working with pencil and paper, then I recommend tracing with tracing paper or something, or a light board, and going over everything. If you're working with the software like I am, you can just make a new layer and just trace and draw right on top of it, and make all your lines nice and cool and neat. Add some stylized lines or something. And then you can add, a little bit of shading. When you add the shading, it'll end up looking like that more. So add all the shading, but that's going to be way too long. This is already like an hour and a half long video. So if we add all the shading, to get the shading accurate, it's a lot of the same stuff. You're doing a lot. Maybe I'll demonstrate just part of this. So like this shadow here, for example. So you can kind of go, okay, I know I have this line and then where the nose is coming down, and now we can see it cuts to this part of the, or just come straight up from the belly button and then come down from here, so the side of the head, we know it cuts off that side of the breast. It's pretty much matching this right here. And then you can go okay down to the belly button, and then how much it's only taken up like about a third. And also you can just go, when this comes down, how far, like right here, it's a little bit above that curve. See, you can see that line right there? Comes straight across, it's a little bit above that, so we know it comes only down to here, like that, and then it comes up like this. Then it comes here, and then where does it go? It goes how much below? Let's erase some of this. You can see the shadow is just a little bit below the actual strap itself. So put the shadow a little bit below the strap itself, and then come across and connect. And then connect over here. Now we have that under shadow. Boom, just like that. And then I'm going to kind of lighten this up because it's a little too dark. There we go. And then it kind of comes across over here. And you just continue. If you want this to be totally accurate, just continue to match it up like that. Instead of going by what you see, then you can see the belly button down here, so we can get rid of some of this. You can see the belly button. You can see how much space is between this shape here. And then there's another shape that comes down this way. And it comes at an angle like this. Right here. And then it comes a little bit below that, but not much. And it's a little shape right here like this. I'm not going to do it totally fully accurate, but I'm going to get close enough. I think it might have been a little bit higher. Oh well. Yeah, it is a little bit higher. Let's just look at the photograph and see how much. Actually, it's pretty close. And then there's a little bit on that side. Kind of shade all this in over here. Come down. I think it comes down actually even thinner. And it kind of right here where the, see where this right here comes this way and that comes down, that intersection. Then you can see this right here. Right where this next intersection is, like pretty much right where that bikini line is. You can see it kind of, first it's right about there, it starts, so you can imagine it's kind of diagonal right here, so it kind of comes down like this, kind of follows that to the bikini line. So it kind of comes like creates a shape kind of like this. How accurate is that? Let's see. Damn, pretty damn close. So you see, that's just quick looking. I'm not even spending that much time looking at it to get that, but you can kind of see. And you just do that for the whole thing until you're done with the drawing. Then you have something that's pretty damn accurate, you know, to the photograph. So even if I didn't take the photograph like I did at the end there, and I left some of those minor things, like this was curved out instead of curved in, this was a little bit bigger and a little bit wider. Even if I would have left all that there, just a little bit inconsistency, and not double check with the photograph, it still would have been very accurate, and it would have looked really good. In fact, people would look at back and forth and be like, wow, that looks just like the photograph. You would have really took your time to shade everything. But you know, I could have gone without even using the photograph. So let's say you work on pencil and paper. Well, if you work on pencil and paper, just print out a copy the size you want. You can just upscale it, print out the size you're drawing at of the photograph, and then use the light board and match it up to photograph and see how close you got. And then you can make corrections if you want to, if you feel like they're just too far off. Or you can go back in and just really start measuring everything. Like if I would have really gone in here and looked at this line right here, and looked at my same line right there, and I would have said, see, that's my original line that I messed up on, I would have saw that when I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's too far out, and I need to change that line. So if I would have just gone through and double checked with a little bit more stuff, you know, I could have went ahead and fixed all that. You can also make a grid, put a grid over the photo, put that same grid over your drawing, and match it up and just see where you've gone wrong. You can just look at the grid for that purpose, just for correction, not for actual drawing. Unless you want to draw using a grid. I just find it really boring, but it is a very accurate way to do it. So I find like kind of making our own grid along the way to be more fun, like this technique I just showed you. And by the way, those are just some things that you'll do over time. Like I said, you will do less and less of those things. You'll need less and less of those things over time. We can just add some really quick shadowing if we don't try to make it totally accurate. You know, you can just like quickly look at it and go, okay, the shadow's about there. Even if it's not totally accurate, shadows you can really get away with a lot more. The form you really want to be pretty accurate. If you want it to look like the photo, you got to be really accurate with it. But with the shadows, unless you're trying to get the likeness of a person or something, you don't have to be nearly as accurate. So I can just kind of match them up and go, okay, it should fit somewhere in there. That's too dark of a shadow or whatever. But you can get the idea. This line right here is pretty harsh. It's kind of cool looking though. I kind of like that style where you have like, but I want to be able to see the line a little bit, but not as dark as it was. And then obviously, you know, there's some shadow down here. It kind of comes up like this. And for this, I'd probably like just add a little bit of shadow like this. Then I would take something like my blender tool and just kind of blend it out like this. And I can, you know, blend some of that and kind of blend this up and kind of start shaping with it. Blend that out. This actually allows me to actually, I know it's called a blender, but it actually does put down a little bit of pencil mark as well. Similar to a blender. If you take a blender and, you know, smash it like a real blender, physical blender, and smash it into some, you know, first take your pencil and go like this really hard, and then take your blender and go over that, it picks up the graphite of the pencil mark you made. Now it's on the blender, and you can kind of draw with your blender like this, you know, but it just puts down really light marks. And that's all you need, you know, to kind of start. Especially for doing skin, I never shade skin with the pencil usually, unless it's a dark part. I go through with my blender first, and I shade with my blender first to get all the shade, you know, all the shadowing of the skin. And then I'll do clothing and stuff with the pencil, and then I'll come back with the pencil on parts of the skin that are really dark. So all that right there is pretty much in shadow like that. I wasn't gonna do any of the shadowing. I don't know why I'm doing this. This video is so long already, but I don't know, I guess I'm thinking, well, the video's so long anyways. If they watch this much of it, I imagine they'll keep watching. I wonder how many people are going to watch this to the end. Like 2? And see, sometimes just adding I'm just kind of loosely following the shadowing that I see. You know, like that right there is not totally accurate. It kind of cuts more like this, but whatever. And then I would take my pencil again, and I just want to go back and make some of it darker. And I want to come and, you know, actually add some of the shadow, because she has a shadow kind of comes across like this right here, and it kind of has some texture and stuff. I'm not going to worry about the texture. I'm just going to come right in. I'm actually going to go darker with my pen. This is like going down is like changing the kind of pencil I'm using. So instead of using a number 2 whatever, now I'm switching to a 4B or something, you know. Get some darker lines going on for the bikini here. Kind of has a shape like that. Kind of comes up like this. Again, I'm not trying to make this perfect right anymore. It would take too long. So I'm just going quickly, but trying to still get something that looks similar to... Wait a minute. Okay, I was just curious if that line was supposed to be there. Couldn't remember. See, it looks like I'm kind of like, it looks like I drew with, like, you know, a number, like a lighter pencil, whatever number it was, and then now I'm coming back over with a darker pencil. That's kind of what I would do with the drawing like this too, with clothing, like darker clothing like this, with black and white. I really want my clothing to stand out, so I'll come back in with a heavier pencil or a softer lead pencil, so I can make it look darker than everything else. Which is kind of what I'm doing by just turning that a little bit. I just moved it down a little bit more, made it darker. And that gives you a whole different kind of pencil. And like some of these outside lines too, I might come back in and, you know, add some lines with this darker pencil just to kind of make them pop out more. You know, some of the outside. Then I'd do her glasses probably all dark instead of that kind of red color because it's black and white, so I think dark would look cooler. I'd either leave the glasses light and have her face be darker than the glasses, or the faces be dark like the clothing, one of the two. And that arm is all messed up looking. Hold on, just notice that. I don't like that at all. I'm going to make this lighter. I just want to come in here and just fix all this because that looks so horrible. Looks scribbly. See, I just kind of erased it, and then I'm coming back in with the blender tool to kind of add that shadow back in so it looks nice. And then the shadow comes all the way across here. It has this whole entire shadow just kind of built in here. Comes up here like that. I'll make this bigger. Fill that in faster. And then you come back in with darker details and stuff. You get the idea, okay? Just stop. Just stop. Put the pencil down. Stop fucking with it, man. Leave it alone already. Just put it down. You're done. The tutorial's over, Neil. They get it. They understand everything. They get the point. They understand the technique a long time ago. Alright. So there it is. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this and learned something from it and you feel like this is going to help you draw better, do me a favor. It only takes you a second. Smash that like button. It also helps the channel so other people can find this video and learn from it. If for whatever reason you just think I'm absolute shit and I don't just, and then I guess hit the dislike button. But if you don't think I'm absolute shit and you find it helpful, thumbs up me real quick. It only takes you a second. I appreciate it. Yeah, pay it forward. All right, till next time.